Don't have that show doc run your life. You do what you want
You
to do.
do. You be the show doc.
That's right.
Hello and welcome to the Picture Show with Austin and Phil Rood. I am Phil Rood. I'm the dad.
And I'm Austin Rood. And I'm the son. Every week we watch a movie and then we get on mic and we talk about it.
That's right. We do. Let's do this one more time this season.
One more time.
One more time. We watch one more thing. But also some other things.
Also some other things. What other things have you watched?
I finished up Succession Season 3 last night on HBO.
I didn't know that had 3 seasons. I feel like
Just like us.
Hey!
We are as good as Succession.
That's right. But I feel like people just started talking about that because I hear it on like social media now too. Like,
I think it's really amped up. It's one of those things that I think a lot of people discovered it in like the second season. So then the third season really got a big push.
That's
and
the big premiere.
This is the one I've heard the most people talking about. But yeah, it was good.
Cool.
And I also watched a movie for another podcast. Last night I recorded with David and Nick and May of the Socially Plagued podcast. And we all got together and talked about the Arnold Schwarzenegger holiday classic, Jingle All the Way.
We all know it.
Do you know that movie?
I have never heard of that movie.
Really?
No.
I kind of wondered, because I knew you guys never watched it. This was the first time I'd ever seen it. It's from like the mid-90s. But I thought there was a possibility it was like a daycare, like an after-school, like daycare. You know how they had like a rotation of movies? Yeah. I thought there was a chance like maybe you had seen it at school or something like that. But I didn't necessarily enjoy watching that movie, but it is kind of crazy. I'm not going to give away listen to the episode of Hit Me One More Time. It should be out probably, I would think, this week as this episode releases. But we had so much fun talking about just what kind of a bonkers movie it is.
I mean, you already sold me on Arnold Schwarzenegger in a Christmas movie.
It's on Disney Plus.
Hey.
I kind of wish you weren't home. You were out running errands for your trip. But I kind of wish you had watched it with me. I think we would have had a good time watching it together. Just because it's kind of a make funnable movie.
So like a kids movie.
It's a family movie about a bad dad who tries to buy the hot new toy on Christmas Eve for his son, and
what a deadbeat dad.
it's something, but if you've not seen the movie, it is on Disney Plus. But either way, listen to the episode of Hit Me One More Time. We really, really had fun recording it. I had a blast.
It sounds cool. It sounds like a memeable movie.
For sure. Hit Me One More Time, of course, I've talked about before. You and I have both been on separately. Yeah. I recently re-listened to your episode about Zathura.
It was a good time.
It's a really fun episode too, and I think that's a perfect movie to take to those guys. Like this kind of almost obscure, like childhood movie to revisit and really like kind of dig into something like that.
What can I say? Childhood me latched on to some good content, knowing that this would make good nostalgia-based content later on.
You could see the future.
That's right.
The spice. You have the spice already.
Oh my god.
Okay,
why are we bringing up Dune again?
We mentioned Dune. We can move on. How about you? What did you watch this week? Anything? You've been pretty busy.
I wish I'd watched Dune.
I know.
Again. But I managed to slip in an episode of Hawkeye this week. And I gotta say, that show is very good. Like, above the standard of probably most of the MCU movies, I think.
Wow.
This is an adaptation of a comic who... I know you know the names of the people, but I don't...
Matt Fraction and David Aja are the creative team
right
on the Hawkeye. What is it, 20 issues, give or take?
Yeah, it ran for like
couple years,
3 years. Yeah. But you can see their influence on this story and just the art style and direction of the episodes in general. But it also, I feel like they're setting up a longer, like, you can tell this is the beginning chapter in Kate Bishop's Hawkeye story, where Clint, who has been our Hawkeye for a while and is the main character of the comics this is inspired off of, is more of filling in as like a mentor character.
Right.
But then it also ties in the MCU movies with Ronan, who is Clint, his whole dark backstory of, being mass murderer.
The best part of Endgame.
Yes.
Yeah.
They actually bring that back and, grapple with the effect that has on people, and it's really interesting. There's some like PTSD involved as well. It's super cool.
I'm torn because I don't like that it's tying into the MCU, but I do like that if they're going to talk about Ronan or have him be Ronan again at some point, like, that's interesting to me.
Yeah. It's more of him regretting being Ronan,
right? But
also like justifying it, or like
I don't know.
It's a complex thing.
And I'm not saying it has to be like a direct adaptation of the Fraction comic, because I know that's just not what the MCU does,
right?
But like that is the whole gist. Because I didn't hate, but I didn't care as much about like the Kate Bishop stuff in the comics. The thing I liked about it was the basic premise of this is Hawkeye. This is Clint on his days off. This is him running the apartment building that he's like the superintendent of.
Right.
And hanging out with his neighbors and just sort of fighting the local criminals, like the Russian mob, the Bros.
And they have that
here.
Yeah,
I've seen them in the previews.
They have like Clint Barton LARPing.
See?
LARPing.
Okay.
It's amazing. It's just random.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. I just, like, that's what the charm of that comic was, is it wasn't tied into anything bigger. It was very pedestrian in the same way, like, the Netflix Marvel shows, like Daredevil and stuff like that. Everybody's like, yes, give me this. Give me the superhero who's fighting crime in his neighborhood. Who's not, like, there's no big blue beam in the sky. There's no big, like,
right.
I like it separated, and at some point, I'm sure I will take a look at this because I was also a big fan of that comic series. For those reasons, that it was a very separate thing.
Right. And I know, like, MCU train and, like, all of that, all the connectivity, but you really can just watch one show that piques your interest.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I'm not opposed to watching more MCU stuff. I just don't.
I know.
You know what I mean? Like, like I think I get labeled as like a hater a lot of times, and I'm just like, I'm just not very interested in it anymore. Like I made it through Endgame, and I'm like, great. Like, I can kind of move on and check out other stuff. This doesn't have to take up half of my movie viewing time every year with the 4 movies that are essentially the same movie at a certain point. I have favorites and I have other stuff. But yeah, like stuff like Hawkeye. Hawkeye's the one thing that has sort of piqued my interest that Marvel has done since the end of like the big MCU. The main thing. I didn't care about WandaVision and Loki and any of this other stuff, but because I think I was so invested in that Fraction comic, like, it is kind of like, yeah, I could see Hawkeye working, but yeah, at some point I'll check it out.
I will hold you to that.
I'm sure you will. When you do your rewatch of it in 6 months, or before season 2, maybe I'll jump on then.
I'll pressure
We'll watch it together.
Yeah.
But that's it?
That's
for
it
you?
for Hawkeye.
That's what that was your big watch? Cool. Well, aside from that, we had our assignment for this week, which is finishing up the Mariachi Trilogy. So, we watched the third installment, which is the 2003 neo-Western action movie, Once Upon a Time in Mexico. This third installment finds El Mariachi getting involved with espionage and revenge in a plot involving a coup d'etat orchestrated by an eccentric CIA agent. This film stars Antonio Banderas returning as El Mariachi, Selma Hayek as Carolina, Johnny Depp as Sands, Willem Dafoe as Burrito, and it features Mickey Rourke, Eva Mendes, Cheech Marin, Danny Trejo again, Enrique Iglesias, Marco Leonardi, and Reuben Blades, who I really enjoyed in this movie. This movie was written as well as the credits say, shot, chopped, and scored by Robert Rodriguez. Very hands-on with this trilogy.
That's a lot of things to do.
Absolutely, but I think he likes to have control, especially over this trilogy, which got him his start. I think I would not be surprised to learn, like, he's so hands-on with this because this is kind of, if I don't know for sure, I would think he kind of thinks this character as his baby.
Right.
You know, of course he's going to be as hands-on. And as indie film, he did everything in El Mariachi. So he's capable of doing all this stuff.
Right. It's like his Mona Lisa.
Yeah, kind of.
He'll just keep painting
always. It's never finished. He's always adding to it and always doing it himself. Yeah.
But you can tell, like, just based on this cast list, how successful the El Mariachi trilogy got. Like, we have Johnny Depp, Willem Dafoe.
Yeah.
Like,
Mickey Rourke. This was sort of in the middle of both Johnny Depp's comeback and Mickey Rourke. Mickey Rourke, around this time, had done The Wrestler.
I really don't know who that is.
Mickey Rourke was pretty big in, like, the 80s. He did, like, 9.5 Weeks, Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man. He did a lot of, like, just weird... he was just kind of a weird... I would compare him now to, like, maybe Benicio del Toro. He looked kind of like he needed a wash, but he was, like, always, like, a shady guy. And he played it really well. And then he went off to, like, be a boxer or something. And then came back to acting when he did The Wrestler, which is a fantastic movie. It kind of reset his career. And people were like, oh my God, Mickey Rourke is actually still really good. Let's start putting him in things. And he was in this. And then he was in Iron Man 2.
Is he...
He's the bad guy in Iron Man 2. Yeah. But yeah, Mickey Rourke kind of had a comeback at this same time. So it's kind of like I had forgotten he was in this movie at all.
Well, it's funny you say that because I actually recognized him in this movie.
Did you really?
I'm putting it together. Yeah. It's from Iron Man 2, but I totally thought that he was in, like, the second movie and this was, like, a returning character. I just did not put that together.
It's, like, all new characters, except for the mariachi. You know, like...
Well, also Danny Trejo, but he's playing a new
He's playing a different character. Yeah. And that's,
I
so is
that, but...
Cheech Marin.
Who?
Cheech Marin, the guy with the eye patch.
Yes, he's a different character.
He's the bartender in Desperado.
I did originally think that he was, like, the bartender, like, the same person, but, like, he just, like, wound up in this different scenario. I don't know.
It very well could be, because I didn't check character names, but I think it is a different character name, but I guess it could be. You know, it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't, no.
But also, I shouted him out because I recognize him in things, but when I went to look him up, I saw he was in movies. Some of them I had seen, but I couldn't place him in a movie. But somebody I really liked in this was Reuben Blades, who played the FBI agent, the retired FBI agent.
Yes.
I thought he was great. I thought he had this, like, small role that was just perfect.
The best character in the movie? Yes.
Kind of like the most ethical character in the movie, for sure. even though he ends up murdering someone like he is.
That moment, though, where he goes, I'm just the same as you, or I'm held to the same rules as you. I'm retired FBI.
Right.
Like,
he's trying to stay out. And, I think it's great because it shows how good Sands is at playing people.
Yeah.
And also, just how, I think he just plays that conflicted character so well.
Right. Sands really manipulated him, with the death of his friend, just
yeah, and he's right behind you. Both the people who did it are sitting there.
Messed up scene.
Yeah. I mean, great cast. Enrique Iglesias was big at this time too. He's a singer, but they're yeah, we'll put him in this movie too as one of the mariachis. I liked the other two mariachis.
Was he the one with the red jacket?
He was the guy with the scope on his pistol.
Yeah.
And then the little
flamethrower
drunk fat man was Marco Leonardi, who's an Italian actor. And he didn't really do much, but just be there. And I liked this character who's kind of a low functioning alcoholic that kind of has to get himself in shape for this, even though he doesn't really want to. And I don't know. He was just this kind of funny little, almost comic relief kind of guy.
Yeah, it added comedy to the movie.
Yeah. He was a good presence here. But let's start just with the basics. What did you think of this movie?
I think this is the best one of the trilogy.
I do as well. I was shocked that I loved it as much as I did going back to it, because I haven't watched it since it came out.
Right. I have some issues with it mostly comes down to the writing of the story, but just the trip that this movie and all the movies in this trilogy take you on, I don't care about this story. It's just a fun ride. It's funny, it's action, and I don't want to say that it's a popcorn movie or that there's no substance, but it's the emotional roller coaster that you go on is more important than the plot of the movie itself.
Sure. I would say plot matters in this one more than the other two movies, because there is a definite plot going on here.
There is.
And there's a lot of moving parts to it, which I think helps this movie. If this movie had just been the mariachi tracking down the general and getting his revenge, okay, that's what we saw in Desperado. You know what I mean?
We've seen it twice pretty much.
Instead, we just see, this is he's almost not the main character. The rest of the movie is just an interesting way to get him to that point, instead of just watching him shoot his way through all of Mexico to get to this guy. So they dropped the whole overthrow of the government plot in the middle of this movie. And I think it's great. I think it's super fun to watch.
Well, because it's more interesting when you have more than two parties.
Right.
Now you've got Sands, he's the third, and it's a triangle, and it just it makes it more complicated.
Yeah. Right. You have Sands, and then you have another triangle spinning off of that, which is Burillo, Reuben Blades. I don't remember his character name.
The guy with the dog?
The FBI guy.
Oh, sorry, yes.
And then you have Eva Mendes, his girlfriend, and the guy with the dog, that ties in. And so you have all of these characters, and when you have a cast that big, I think it's really easy to it's just too much. But they really overlap each other in the smartest and most entertaining way. This plot is complicated, but it is followable.
Right. There are double crosses.
Yes.
And people straight up lying to each other, but when they're lying, because in the scene previous they said something else.
Right.
And they all have chemistry with each other.
For sure.
What really stood out to me, Sands and the girl you just mentioned,
Eva Mendes,
yes. She killed it.
She's great.
Scene where she's introduced, so good.
Yeah.
I knew everything I needed to know about her and Sans and how that worked.
When she's like shooting at him.
Yeah, and like he's not flinching.
Yeah, they have this terrible abusive relationship, both ways. Like that, but yeah, I mean, it's just like also like, oh, these are all just garbage people who all deserve each other. Like
right.
It's so yeah, the chemistry with all of them. I think Johnny Depp is I think he just mixes well with everybody. He has the conversation with everybody he sits down and eats with. And he's so charismatic that I think he really has a good chemistry with almost everybody he's sharing a screen with.
That's true.
You said you didn't want to call this a popcorn movie. So just, I don't think popcorn movie means bad movie.
I know that,
but I would kind of call this is sort of a popcorn movie. This is an action movie. I think it's a smart action movie. Like
that's what I meant is that popcorn movies typically have like less in terms of
less
plot,
substance,
like, less
maybe.
Substance, yeah,
maybe
and this has a little more.
Yeah, yeah. We've kind of come to refer to just any throwaway movie as a popcorn movie, but I kind of think it's a bigger spectrum than that, because I think there's a lot of movies. I mean, Star Wars is basically a popcorn movie. One of the most beloved good action movies
Dad,
of all time.
You're going to get so many people in our DMs hating
I don't
our
care.
guts.
It's a popcorn movie. It is a big summer blockbuster movie.
This guy saw Dune and now he thinks Star Wars is a popcorn movie.
Star Wars is a movie for children. It always has been. I'm not saying it's not loved by adults. I'm just saying that movie was originally aimed at children. That is
That's a fact.
It's a fact.
True.
It really is. But yeah, let's pull out of that rabbit hole there.
Can I bring up a gripe I have?
You can bring up anything you want.
Because as much as I enjoyed the experience of watching this movie, I have to say 3 movies, 3 fridged women, not a great look. Here's the thing is, each one of these movies, El Mariachi is motivated by the death of a woman. But the first death happens at the end of the movie, but that's what leads him to this life of crime and killing the crime boss. And then, same thing with the second movie. That is kind of what propels him to be after that guy. I don't remember the names of anyone in these movies. And then, in the third one, the death of his new girlfriend, Carolina, yes, that is what's propelling him to kill the general. And it's just well,
it's a revenge story, sure.
Yeah, but I don't know. I feel like there could be other alternatives. I just feel like she was such a good character and they wasted her by having her be, once again, motivation for his revenge story.
Yeah, but, all right, I'll say, the girl in the refrigerator, I think that's selling it a little bit short, because I think both of these women, by the way, it's 2 women, not 3. 3 movies. 2
3
women.
movies motivated by the murder of 2 women.
The first movie is not motivated by the murder. The first movie is, he's drawn into that because he's carrying a guitar case, and it's a mistaken identity movie.
True, but I feel like at the end,
that's what kicks into the second movie.
Sure.
The first movie, I don't think is motivated by that. But yeah, I will put the girl in the refrigerator trope in the same place that I put the Bechdel test, and they are sort of reformatting the Bechdel test to fit all different kinds of groups, like. Are there more than 2 black people? Are there more than 2 gay people? Do they talk about being gay, or do they talk about other? This sort of thing. It's a good tool. It's fine. But if something doesn't pass the Bechdel test, that doesn't necessarily make it a bad movie. And I will put the same thing of being motivated by the death of a loved one, or by the loss of a spouse or girlfriend or whatever. Being motivated by that, it's a little tropey, but that doesn't necessarily, I think, make it bad. I think this, if we want to paint this as girls in refrigerators, these women at least are more than that in their presence in this franchise. They are fleshed out, three-dimensional women. They are, they have personalities. They do more than just fall in love with the guy. They do eventually, but like we talked so much last episode about how good Salma Hayek is, and that she like has a passion for reading and wants to share that with this town, and she has dreams, and all of this is independent of her meeting El Mariachi.
They both do get basically a full movie,
right,
with the main character. I see what you're saying, and I do agree. The Bechdel test was originally, like, the creators of it did not expect it to be a test of, is this movie good or bad? Right. Or even, is this, like, offensive or not? Like,
it's been kind of co-opted by the internet as like, oh, this doesn't pass the Bechdel test. This is, therefore, it's garbage.
They never meant for it to be every movie has to pass the Bechdel test.
Right.
It's just an example
it's
of
a tool.
How often
Yeah.
They don't. It shows the underrepresentation of women.
Or it's a tool for if you are writing, like, women characters and making sure, like, they have a deeper motivation than just, like, who's the cute boy in school.
Right.
You know, like, maybe you can flesh out, especially if the woman is and there are exceptions to this, you know, like, there was, like, a Jim Gaffigan movie that he made, and it was about a relationship between a father and his son. He said he kept getting complaints about, like, the mother character isn't very fleshed out. He's like, she's barely in the movie because this is a movie about a father and a son. Like, you know, right. Like she's fleshed out enough to fill her role in the story that we were telling.
She's like, not the focus of the story.
Right. And it's just, yeah, it goes round and round like that. So I do hear what you're saying. Like, it is sort of like the same motivation over again. But I also, I don't know, I'm going to defend it a little bit because I think, not just that these women were like well-written characters for their screen time, but I do like the idea of, like, the mariachi is essentially like a ghost. He is like he kind of is wandering like a dead man, you know, like they sort of portray him as like this walking dead guy. He's just kind of wandering. He's lost his family. He's lost, you know.
He doesn't want to live. He just wants to punish other people.
And he's not even really doing that when they first introduce him. He's just living in this village, playing guitar and, you know, right. But he's just playing sad songs. He's not trying to be a performer. He's not trying to be a gunslinger anymore.
He's just moping.
Yeah, he's just kind of, even like they show, he doesn't have his guitar case full of guns anymore. Like, he's left that behind him. He's just sort of like in this gray area until Johnny Depp comes to get him. And then he even tells him, he's like, you're like he killed you. He killed you by taking your family.
Right.
So I do like that aspect of it. And I think the flashbacks where they do show him happy with his family, I think those flashbacks are really good and really effective.
I did like kind of how they showed that. And there's one transition that was just like purely beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Going between the memory and real life, like when he's entering the church, like there's something about how they spliced those scenes together to get it from the memory to the real world, and for you to understand that we're going from that. It was really cool.
They edited them in parallel really well. Like, they would cut back and forth between now and then. Here's him when he was happy. Here's him now. You know, like,
Right.
They did a really good job of that. When he goes to get his guitar case and he's opening it back up, and they're cutting back and forth between them again, and it's like he's opening up a guitar case full of weapons, and then it cuts to the reveal of her pregnant belly. So it's like, here's the tools of destruction. Here's the tools of creation. Over, like, and it's just sort of like he can create and he can destroy. And when he created, it was taken away from him. Same, I mean, it almost parallels like the first movie where he's an artist. He's a musician. He wants to create. And he ends up, by the end of it, now he's the guy who destroys. And this is him sort of having to go back down that road again.
And in that scene, you already know what happened.
Yeah.
So you know that. And it's just even more heartbreaking to see this is why he is choosing to destroy.
This movie is a tragedy where I feel like the other two movies... Maybe the first movie also you could write it as a tragedy, but this one I think has a darker edge on it. I think
it is.
I think this movie feels a little bit dangerous all the way through it, even when it's funny, and just overall darker than the other two.
It's so much darker. It's almost a horror movie at parts.
Let's talk about that, because I think we're probably thinking of the same parts.
Oh, you mean Two-Face being in this movie? Really no face. Because what the hell is the body horror in this?
Yeah.
It is intense.
Well, drilling Johnny Depp's eyes out.
That also. Immediately after, by the way.
Yeah.
Like...
Well, that's also like he's drugged. Like they had drugged him and knocked him out. So then everything aside from like having his eyes drilled out it's all like the way the camera is, everything's sort of distorted. He's tripping. There's this real sort of disorientation to that last act with Johnny Depp. It plays so much like a horror movie. Like it really is like when he comes out in the street and realizes he's in danger and he can't see anything and he's just screwed. Like it's just like you feel that panic, and they make you feel his disorientation. The music changes, the way the camera angles are change, and the whole mood of the entire movie just shifts over to this fucking completely different, almost a completely different movie.
It really is.
Yeah.
But what's strange is that works.
It works brilliantly. It's my favorite part of the movie. It's so good.
And then that disorientation, that kind of ends, like, as he learns to, like, listen and shoot, throughout, like, I feel like he gets less disoriented, and so does the movie.
He starts to everything starts to focus at the same time,
right.
kind of.
You can hear him listening, like, he shoots someone's foot, they scream, oh, now he knows where the head is, and he shoots.
Yeah, he takes the gun, and he just blindly shoots and just misses every shot, and then they start laughing at him, and then he's able to,
and now he knows.
The kid who helps him, I mean, it's all foreshadowed, and I caught it just when he first runs into that kid at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah. And
he gives him, I don't know, like a $20 bill or whatever. And he goes, there, that should hold you over for that should hold us both over for a long time. Now get out of here. I don't ever want to see you again. And then the next time he runs into him, he has no eyes. And so he never does see that kid again. But
that's some good foreshadowing.
It's great. It's a perfect piece of like Robert Rodriguez writing.
Because when that kid showed up, I was like, guess you were wrong about not running into him again.
But he didn't see him.
He didn't see him.
Plus, Johnny Depp without eyes, like when he takes his sunglasses off, his face, he looks like Michael Myers. He looks like the William Shatner Michael Myers mask.
Really?
With the big eye holes, and I'm sure he probably had a mask over that, with the eyes cut out. But he really looks creepy as shit. Like it reminded me so much of Michael Myers.
It's definitely gross, although I kind of prefer it with the glasses because it just looks so cool with the bleeding blood.
It's almost like religious imagery of like, tears of blood or like stigmata kind of thing with crying. But yeah, it's great. I absolutely loved that part, and it kind of sold me on the whole movie. And let's stay on that. Is this the best Johnny Depp performance? Because I kind of think it's right up there, man.
I don't know. I have a tough time with that one. I probably haven't seen. I definitely haven't seen all of Johnny Depp's performances.
No, I haven't either. But I'm just trying to think. What have I seen that is more maybe not compelling, but there is a mix of it being like very compelling and very entertaining. It's not Jack Sparrow. It's not Tonto, where he's just doing like funny walks and offensive stereotypes, but it's not like Black Mass, where he plays Whitey Bulger and is just scary as shit. Like he's a clown, but he's also like spinning this charisma. I don't know. There's something about his performance here that I really, really like. I think he plays sort of like a confident idiot, because it does show by the end of it, he hasn't been playing anybody. He's been getting played. Like, he's basically not as smart as he thinks he is.
He thought he was the mastermind, right? And instead, everyone turned on him.
Right. Well, the woman he's told his whole plan to is the drug lord's daughter, and he had no idea. Like he's been getting fooled this whole time. So, I mean, this whole idea of him being like, I'm in control, and you see like how he's like, he thinks he's like the king of Mexico. He's like, I keep the balance. I'm going to go shoot the cook in the face because his meal is too good. It's too good for this country. Like, he has this ego on him, and he actually goes and shoots that cook, and he just has this air of like, I can get away with whatever I want to. I run this place.
Right.
And it's just sort of
really
like
fucked up.
It's super fucked up. He's a psychopath, but he's also not as in control as he thinks he is. And like he plays that really, really well, in that he has no idea that he's not as smart as he thinks he is.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not like a guy who's like, I'm faking it till I make it. He's like, I'm not faking it. I'm in control. And it's like, no, you're not.
It's all in his charisma, because genuinely for like half of this movie, I was like, are we supposed to be rooting for him?
Right.
I was like, are we supposed to be pro-CIA overthrowing the Mexican government? Like, what is the message here?
It's odd, because I don't feel like he's ever portrayed as the good guy. He's never like, yes, you are supposed to be rooting for him, but you are enjoying having, spending time with him.
Right.
And also, he does enable the mariachi, who we know is our hero. So it's like, they're on the same side.
That was extra confusing for me.
So, like, someone's going to double cross somebody, or is this just sort of like this is sort of the anti-hero? Is Johnny Depp the anti-hero? Like the bad good guy? You know what I mean?
Right.
And instead, it's just like, no, he's the good bad guy. Like he's the fun bad guy.
He is.
At what point do you think that becomes clear to you?
I figured out kind of when his girlfriend was introduced. I was like, okay, this guy's got, like, again, there was the charm in that scene, but I saw like how unhinged it was from reality, and I was like, okay, so they're going somewhere with this. I don't know. I feel like do you think this is Johnny Depp's greatest performance?
I kind of think
that kind of your mission statement.
I kind of think it's one of the performances where I think he's legitimately acting. And I'm not saying he's not acting when he's playing like Jack Sparrow.
It's toned down acting.
But yeah, I think it is more of a nuanced performance, and aside from being, I feel like a lot of actors either play, a powerful performance, and it's like this very heavy, very serious thing. And I think he manages to do that here while still being sort of light and playful, right up until the end where he's walking around with no eyes. I read somewhere like this was originally, it was either, I think it was offered or written with George Clooney in mind, because Clooney had been in From Dusk Till Dawn, had worked with Rodriguez before.
Sure.
And all I could think was like, that is I can see him doing it, but it's a completely different energy. Like,
it wouldn't be the same movie.
I feel like if Clooney is playing something comedically, he's kind of playing a buffoon who's like in Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Like, he's clearly a fool. Where Johnny Depp sort of plays this as like, is he in control? Right. He's not like a complete cartoon character. Or Clooney goes the other way, and when he's playing dangerous, he's playing like very dangerous, like in Dusk Till Dawn. Where I think Johnny Depp sort of walks that line a little bit better. Like, he's able to be right in between being a comedic idiot and being a super dangerous psychopath. And he's able to just split the difference between them. I think he built, maybe this isn't his greatest performance. That's all subjective anyway. But I think he built one of his most interesting characters in this movie.
I see what you're saying.
I just had a ton of fun watching him. And
no, I had a lot of fun too, and I think it is definitely like a nuanced, creative character while still not being as like over the top as Jack Sparrow, but also like I love Jack Sparrow, and like
I'm not trying to knock it. I think Jack Sparrow is a great character. I really do.
No, but I'm simply saying like I am a big fan of like bombastic, over the top characters.
You're a huge Willy Wonka fan. I get it.
I am not. Although
you take that back.
Not
Johnny Depp. Depp. That's what I was joking about.
Although
nobody likes that.
I did see a tweet where someone said that if you took that movie and replaced Johnny Depp with Nicolas Cage, it could have been the greatest movie of all time.
Possibly.
Anyway,
we're going to talk about that later.
For sure. I really like over the top acting, but I do see the skill and like how captivating this performance is.
You don't have to agree. I'm just saying I could not get over how much I really loved Johnny Depp in this movie.
Basically, I agree and disagree.
Sure. I mean, look, it's all subjective, and I'm sure if we went through Johnny Depp's filmography, we would run into like movies where like, oh my god, this is amazing. Like, seriously, Black Mass is a great movie. Like, and Johnny Depp is super scary in that movie. He is crazy dangerous, and he plays that really well. When Johnny Depp is another one of those where, he played Jack Sparrow so long. And there was the whole Lone Ranger fuck up, where they're like, oh, who'd make a great Tonto? This white dude, Johnny Depp. And everyone, everyone's like, oh, he's 1/16th Cherokee or whatever, like, excuses they made. It's just like, but,
it's really a bad call.
Yeah, and so it's easy to, like, memeify Johnny Depp. But, like, when he gets the right role, I think Johnny Depp is, along with Nicolas Cage, I think he's great. I think in certain roles, he's fantastic. And I think this is really one of them, and ones that kind of gets overlooked a lot.
Yeah, and I looked up his filmography, and really, I'm seeing a lot of it is that kind of over the top. And I know he's done some more muted stuff, but I kind of wish he had done more, if that makes sense.
More what? More like big stuff, or more
more of like this. where it's a more muted performance.
They have him like, I'm looking at this too. Dark Shadows. Not a great Tim Burton movie, but he is pretty fun in that. Alice in Wonderland. Oh, Public Enemies. He's really good in that as well. Sweeney Todd. Did you ever see Sweeney Todd?
I have, and I do love.
That's a really fun movie. That's maybe fun's not the.
It's fun. It's fun.
It's fun.
Him and Bellatrix Lestrange just murdering people.
I love Helena Bonham Carter. I think she's great. And he was doing. Yeah, these were right in the middle of his big comeback with Pirates of the Caribbean. Oh, he did Blow, where he's the drug dealer. Yeah, I mean, Sleepy Hollow. Forgot how much work he did with Tim Burton.
He was in Murder on the Orient Express.
I didn't remember that either till I saw it on there. But that cast, that's Willem Dafoe as well, right? And Kenneth Branagh and Michelle Pfeiffer. That's a great cast.
That's
in that.
Famous People. The movie.
It really is. But you know what? I like that movie.
Oh my God, we're overlooking his best role.
Corpse Bride?
Nope, Sherlock Gnomes.
Whoa!
I don't even know what he is in that was a thing. He's credited.
And then like another big role of his, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, which I have seen clips of, and he channels Hunter S. Thompson very well. I've never seen the movie because it's one of those that I love the book so much. I only want the book to live in my brain.
And that's okay.
I think that's okay, too. I'm just sort of... and it's Terry Gilliam. It's all these people I love made this movie from source material that I love. But I'm also just kind of like, just let the book be there.
Let it be.
But then he also played Thompson again in The Rum Diary, which was not good. But, Ed Wood. How did I forget Ed Wood?
I've not seen it.
He is very good in Ed Wood. He has a really interesting filmography. Crybaby, going way back, and his first movie. Do you know?
I don't.
A Nightmare on Elm Street.
That was his first?
Yes.
Okay. What's really strange is I was asking, okay, this is off topic, but I was asking kids their favorite Christmas movie, and a kid today, first grade, went, is Nightmare on Elm Street a Christmas movie?
Interesting.
And I believe it takes place during Christmas. So
I don't remember it taking place during Christmas.
Okay, I might be misinformed, but I told him that it took place during Christmas, so technically yes, but...
There very well could be a Nightmare on Elm Street movie that does take place on Christmas.
Maybe one of the sequels. I don't know, but I just thought that was an interesting pick for favorite Christmas movie.
And what's our other Nightmare on Elm Street connection on this show? Come on, you told me about this. What was shot in the Nightmare on Elm Street house?
What are you talking about?
Bo Burnham's Inside.
Bo Burnham's Inside. Okay, thank you.
He shot it in the guest house of Heather Langstrom's house in Nightmare on Elm Street.
His girlfriend owns that house.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's like a director, I think, right?
I'm not totally sure.
She's some film person, but yeah. Anyway, back to this movie.
This movie also has, once again, third movie in this trilogy, where we're endangering children with gang violence. It ups the ante, I feel, every movie. I mean, this kid didn't get shot, but...
for sure, every movie, I do feel like it amps up, because in... first movie, it's a dream kid. He only exists in the dream world.
It's not even a real child.
Second movie, he does get shot, but he's a bystander. And in this movie, he's an active participant in the violence.
The fact that Sands forces him to... I was really like, what are we trying to send the message here? Just because, again, Sands is so cool that you want to root for him.
Right. But that's what I think is such great character work, not only by Depp, but Rodriguez writes these characters to be complicated. To where, Sands is cool. He's fun. We like spending time with him. Also, he has no problem endangering a child's life or telling the child, murder this guy for me.
Right.
You know, like...
Point and shoot.
Yeah. He's like, come on, blow his fucking head off. And it's just like, dude, you're about to... And the kid, like... It's... I love the right or left. He's asking the kid for... and he shoots and he's like, wait, was that my right or your right? And it's just... all the comedy in that... There's comedy undercutting this really, really dark thing that he tells the kid to do. Like,
right.
He's dragged this kid into insane amounts of violence.
I'm so glad that the kid ended up running away, because after the last movie, I was like, God damn it, he's upping the ante and he's going to kill the child.
Kid, yeah. But
no one's surviving this.
No,
movie.
he just gave him PTSD.
I'm sure it's fine.
Yeah, he's probably good.
One more thing I wanted to talk about was like the Mexican pride in this movie. I think there's a lot of scenes where it's just like, specifically like how the mariachi has like pride in protecting the president, and like he wears the banner, and
yeah, he's got the Mexican flag kind of sashed around him at the end,
and he tells the president to look outside. That's the people of Mexico fighting for you, like for this country.
Right.
Like I don't know, I just feel like it's like that patriotism in this movie. I feel like that's a really cool thing.
I think there is there's a lot of messaging in this movie about it's not quite jingoistic or patriotic or political, but I think Rodriguez is making a very deliberate statement about U.S. foreign policy and how the CIA meddles with other orchestrating government overthrows and coups d'etats and things like that.
Oh,
and
extremely.
Like, that's a very real thing. And he's making a comment on this, that these are people who are just doing it to make money. And the people doing it, this is who they are. These little fucking psychopaths who are running around killing people without a single thought of how it affects the people of that country. But they also are like portraying Mexico as like being very prosperous and very good for the people at this point. And that's why he wants to overthrow the president. Like, this president's too good for this country. It's the thing he makes about like the pork that he's eating. He's like, this is too good for Mexico. I have to kill the cook to make sure that like things aren't too good here.
Right.
He's like,
stop them from making it good.
He's right. He keeps talking about like, I have to keep the balance. I have to keep the balance. They can't be too prosperous. So it's like the mariachi is essentially like fighting for the people. He's not fighting for the president because he's his political party. You know, no. He's like fighting for the president because the president is making it good for the people at this point. And it is about like rooting out government corruption. The general he's killing who's helping the cartels. You know what I mean? It's that's the state. There's a real, I think, deliberate statement, but I think we have a hard time like recognizing that you can be patriotic and you can want good things for your country without it being politically motivated, or, you know, you can even be critical of the politics of your country with, and
still proud of that country.
Yes. And I think you're right. It runs throughout this movie, but the best part is when the three mariachis get up to the president and he's like, who are you? And he's like, we're sons of Mexico. And it's just sort of like, it is kind of action movie cheesy, but you're also like, yes, these are patriots. You know, he's here for revenge. They're here for a number of different reasons. But at the end of the day, when he gets up to the precipice of it, he's a Mexican patriot.
I really like that you pointed out the metaphor between the pork and the cook, and the Mexico is prospering and the president, because that really, I'm gonna have to go back and watch that scene because it lays it out for you.
He says it, yeah. He says it straight to him. He's like, "This pork is too good. and I have to keep the balance. Like, and that's what I'm talking about. Like the Johnny Depp God complex.
Yes.
You know, he kills the matador at the bullfight. You know, I will strike this guy dead, and that way I will benefit.
I did kind of like that.
I like
scene,
that.
Only because I feel like that scene is a little off of the metaphor, because he points out that this is a corrupt game to start with. So he's really just evening the playing field, as opposed to what the CIA is doing to Mexico in this movie. Well, but it does further prove how this character thinks. And
well, he's talking to the president's advisor, who is selling him out too, and he's basically saying, like, it's okay to be corrupt. That's how you win. You know, my favorite part of that though is that they kill the matador, and then they go collect on the bets that they took that the matador would be killed. And that's how they pay off the government official. They just turn it over to him. They're like, here you go. And it's just all like, yeah, it really like, I like that they show the whole machine throughout the movie of how Johnny Depp is operating.
It really is kind of clever how they do it.
Like, he's just murdering people for money and then giving that money to other people to further his bigger goal. And
just, you can, throughout the scenes, just, okay, it goes from here to here to here to here.
Yeah.
And I also like how it shows, in, like, criticizing the CIA, they show, the whole plot thread between, the retired agent and, the fugitive that he's caught with the dog, and he's having him be an informant and putting him in danger, and that guy ends up dying because this man put his life at risk to, you know,
he was trying to get clear of everything,
right? And he put him in risk, and I don't know, that just shows another, like, flaw of how the CIA operates, I think. Just kind of the recklessness of that.
Yeah, I think there's some the criticism of the CIA is just like around every corner. It's just sort of like, yeah, like, these shifty bastards are I mean, people. I think the real criticism here is like U.S. foreign policy, because U.S. foreign policy does not care about the citizens of the countries that we go to help. You know, without getting, like, too political on our talk here, that's relevant to this movie, because that's what this movie is showing.
Right,
like,
and strictly speaking, it's objective fact that the U.S. has meddled in countries, especially in South America, and just ruining
the Middle East and
their governments.
I mean, it's
in the same way that this movie portrays it, like, exactly that same way over and over.
I mean, the very beginning, when they show up, when they first find the mariachi, the Danny Trejo and those guys show up in the town, and they just shoot the guy who's, like, making guitars, like the old man who's making guitars in the town. Like, they shoot him, and they're there on the orders of Sands. You know, like, they're there as an arm of the CIA. Like, and it's just sort of like perpetuating this war that kills civilians in this town. I think Robert Rodriguez is making, it's not like he makes political movies, but he is very much like making a statement about U.S. foreign policy in this movie. And I think it's great. I think it's great the way he does it, because he also does it in an entertaining way.
Right. I think it's so awesome, especially because this is a franchise that started in Mexico, and, like, just blew up in America, got mainstream, and so he went, you know what? I'm gonna talk to Americans here, and he had a point to make, and he made it. But it wasn't preachy.
No,
like,
it's not.
I feel like that is what oftentimes upsets people, is, like, when a movie is just the point, and it's not also...
I would equate it in the way that something like the Bourne series, like the Bourne Identity, the Bourne Supremacy, these movies are also like, they're critical of, the U.S. intelligence services and what they do to people, that they kill innocent people, that they ruin people's lives. But it does it in a way that is not preaching to you. It just tells it through the story. This is the subtext of everything that's going on, is these are shady fuckers that you don't want to get mixed up with. Because they don't care and they won't think twice about killing you.
Right.
Like, and it's just sort of like, yeah, that's really wild. That you can do that without making this movie inherently political or talking down like you're giving a TED talk. You know what I mean? To that note that you said that this started in Mexico, I like that these movies never left Mexico. Like these movies are all set in Mexico. These are
right. They never went to America or whatnot.
Right. They're never like in like South Texas or Southern California or anything like that. I'm kind of curious now. I wonder if they are also
filmed there,
shot in Mexico. I would man, I don't know.
I have to assume.
Oh, IMDb, you're the worst.
Because the buildings and everything look just like a real town as much as the first movie, which we know is just a real town that he used to film in. I kind of don't think he changed that with like sets or anything.
I don't know. Studios own a lot of like backlot stuff too. That is built to look certain ways, but not Hollywood, Mexico.
Oh, come on, Google.
I want to talk while I look that up. The Blue Bus. The Blue Bus was back.
Yes.
I think that is the Sam Raimi car of these movies.
It wasn't in the second one, though.
It is in the second one.
It is.
The two mariachis show up in town. They get off the Blue Bus.
Okay, all right. I guess it just didn't hit anyone on a zip line, so
it's true.
I'm not sure if it counts. Okay.
Filming locations. Yes, this was shot in San Miguel, Mexico, Guanajuato, Mexico, Querétaro, Mexico, Austin, Texas, and San Antonio, Texas. So,
split a few different ways.
Shot a couple of scenes in San Antonio. I can see that because it's all the same architecture, basically.
Pretty much. Same kind of environment.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else?
I don't think so. I think I've Willem Dafoe and Brownface. I don't know how to feel about that. This is a Mexican filmmaker who didn't have a problem with it. Willem Dafoe's great. I have a hard time criticizing him.
It's
really an odd choice.
You out of the movie.
Yeah. I never believed he was Mexican.
No, and I don't know why his role had to be a Mexican.
Because he was a Mexican cartel leader. They're typically Mexicans. But
I guess we need more inclusion in the cartel industry. Okay,
there is an SNL sketch about the mafia having a talk about representation.
But I will say he gets what's coming for him because that he's not in brownface for this whole movie. He's in no face. Yes, and that'll happen if you ever do brown face.
No, he's not skinned alive.
Well, no, but his face is transplanted.
No, right? He's not No, he had plastic surgery done
to change the shape of his face.
to look like the other guy. And then the other guy was skinned so that they would think that was him.
Right.
It's not a face-off situation where they rip their faces off and switch them. They just tore the other guy's face off. He didn't He didn't have his face torn off. He just had plastic surgery to look like that other guy.
Okay, I misunderstood.
The other guy had the face torn off. And then, like, that was a great way to have that reveal was the rings that were falling off.
I saw the rings, but I thought they were the girl's rings, like, the daughter.
Oh, no.
And so I got confused at that part, and I was like, what? She's right there.
No.
I didn't get that at all.
It's the guy at the very beginning of the movie who comes in to meet him, and the doctor's, like, feeling his face. Right. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, yeah, this guy will work. Like, they're getting ready to, he's like, we'll make you look like him. And then that guy didn't know they were going to kill him on the operating table. But, yeah.
But they did.
So they did. Yeah, it's a weird choice. I don't know. I know it's like severely frowned upon now, but I mean, this is a almost 20-year-old movie. Nobody cared then. Nobody raised an eyebrow. Maybe nobody saw this movie. I don't know. But I mean, you go back, you have Al Pacino playing Scarface. He's a Cuban guy. You have James Caan playing an Italian guy in The Godfather. I think until very recently, if you could reasonably pass for somebody of a certain race or nationality, nobody really cared. And I'm not even trying to make a judgment of whether that's good or bad. But this just struck me as a really, really strange choice.
well, that's what it is I know this is 20 years ago and it's a different time. It's kind of acceptable but he looks nowhere near Mexican.
No, he looks like a white guy with brown face paint on.
And him, specifically his voice, dear God, it's so recognizable.
Oh, sure.
You cannot pass that off.
There's no mistaking it's Willem Dafoe, who's great, and I love watching him in everything.
But it makes it so jarring.
It was distracting. You're right. But yeah, I don't know. That's all I had on that. But let's talk about this as a trilogy. What do we think of this as a whole?
I think... Okay, so first off, I like the trilogy. I like each movie in the trilogy. And I think they do kind of go well together as a progression. I think the second two movies, I think they're rightfully paired up in like those DVD sets and on streaming service. I think they really work well together in a way that, as good as the first movie is, even if it's rough, it is a good movie. It doesn't go well with the other two, though, because it's rough. And also because, just like, it's the Mariachi's origin story, and so he's not the ghost that he is in the second two movies.
Sure.
So, I don't know, it just feels like a different character, like a different movie. It feels out of place. Even though, story-wise, it works really well with the other two.
Right. Yeah, I can see that. It is jarring to go from the low budget of the first one to these really slick Hollywood productions. And it almost makes me wish they had remade El Mariachi just as a straight remake.
Right.
And done it with Banderas in the idea that he would just make a trilogy. But I mean, we have American remakes of foreign films all the time, like Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
I was just gonna say that, yeah.
Let the Right One In got a American remake. There's another horror movie, I can't think of it right off, but it's like I think they could have done that, and I think that's what we talked about with Desperado. There's a lot of similar elements in Desperado in that it's kind of a half remake of El Mariachi and half advancing the story.
Right. Just like Sam Raimi's
Evil Dead.
Evil Dead 2.
A lot of parallel to that. But I do actually think I like this as a trilogy just the same. it's almost like the movies get more complex as they go. You have the very budget-starved El Mariachi. Then you have Desperado that has a good budget. Then you have Once Upon a Time in Mexico that has a good budget and a more complex story. Everything steps up. Everything escalates with each movie.
Right.
And I think it shows the progression of the Mariachi from being a peaceful guitar player, wandering the road, to being a full-blown warrior, back to he goes back out on the road without it, like at the end of this, he just sort of starts wandering again.
Then he's just a sorrow-filled musician.
It is the full hero's journey where he goes out, and then he comes back, but he's come back changed. It is the full journey of this character. And in watching these back to back, this is probably the first time I've watched all three right in a row. I really see that journey, and I feel like this is a complete set of movies. I give this a big thumbs up as a trilogy because I loved every entry in it, and I think it tells the full arc in the same way that the Planet of the Apes trilogy told the full arc of Caesar. Right. Birth to death, it told Caesar's story. This is the birth to death of that El Mariachi the warrior. This is the origin to,
And he's kind of a legend now. So
yes.
It makes sense that this is a story that's going to be told again and again.
And this even starts with that, like the last movie did, when Buscemi comes in and tells about the biggest Mexican he's ever seen.
The conversational recap.
This happens at the beginning of this movie, where now they're telling the story of the mariachi and his woman with Carolina, with her knives and the garter.
I was so
which
psyched.
Is so great.
That scene, I think that's why I was disappointed with her dying, is I was like, oh my god, she's going to be a badass warrior just like him in this. Yeah. And then, no. But
in legend,
cool.
She is.
She lives on.
Know that she lives on.
And I really like, you talk about hero's journey. He returns back to the start. Literally, the first movie and the last movie, they end on the road.
Yeah.
I think every movie starts and ends on the road. I don't remember the second one, though. I think that starts with the bar scene.
It starts with the bar scene, yes.
Okay.
And so does this.
Okay, yeah. But the first movie starts and ends on the road, and then this also ends on the road.
Yep. Yeah, it ends on the road with the dog on the motorcycle in El Mariachi.
Right.
But yes, yeah. But the first movie begins with him walking, and this movie ends with him walking. So
he's walked this whole journey.
He's alone, right? Yeah, he's where he started.
Bookmarks, people.
Bookends.
Yeah. Whatever. Okay, mark your place at the bookends.
Okay. That's it. I mean, that's our trilogy season.
That's it. I mean, that was a good season.
It's a great season. I had a lot of fun. And watching movies as trilogies sort of changed the way I was looking at a lot of these. So this was really a good time.
It's really fun to watch, like, connected movies.
Yeah. And see where it works and where it doesn't.
Right. And I think we all had good picks. I think
we watched
a dud in these movies.
I think whatever movies, because some worked for us more than others.
Yeah.
But I will say, I think we picked 4 trilogies that gave us great conversation. We had a lot to talk about with a lot of these movies. So even though maybe we didn't like Dark Knight Returns as much, or some of the Evil Dead stuff didn't quite click with me as much.
Same with me. Yeah, it was kind of
like there was a lot to talk about with those movies and a lot of interesting stuff with all of them. So I think we had some good picks.
We picked the right stuff to fuel our ranting.
I think so. Well, you will be in Canada very soon for the holidays.
I will be.
So we're not going to do a season recap show. Let me just ask you, do you have a favorite trilogy that we watched this year?
How narcissistic do I want to be right now?
You can pick your own. I'm going to.
No, I do think Planet of the Apes, such a good thing to start on. I think it was the best trilogy that we watched.
Oh, so it was all downhill after that.
No.
Oh, this sucks. No, I can't call that a bad pick. I had a lot of fun with that one too.
Yeah. I do think I know what your pick is going to be, but go ahead and...
Oh, now I want to know what you think it's going to be.
Well, you said you were going to pick one of your own, so... I don't think it's going to be The Evil Dead. Right. No. So I think it's
El Mariachi. It is Mariachi. I had a blast with this. I really kind of fell in love with this trilogy again, and I think it's so interesting. It made me appreciate Rodriguez as a filmmaker, which I've always appreciated what he did, whether I think, like, Sin City is fine, but it's super interesting to look at. It's super interesting the way he adapted that. I think he's an interesting filmmaker, in this sort of exploring his roots as a filmmaker with these three movies made me want to go and watch Planet Terror again, watch From Dusk Till Dawn, watch Machete. You know, like, these movies are really fun, and this sort of encapsulates the kind of filmmaker that he is. And Once Upon a Time in Mexico really sealed the deal for me. I wasn't sure how I was gonna... I didn't remember this movie very much. I was so happy to be like, I love this movie more than I remember. I really, I'm going to revisit this trilogy on the regular, I think.
I'm glad. It's a really good trilogy.
It's really fun, yeah.
And I also think what you said about, like, going back and reappreciating those movies. Like, I have not seen any Robert Rodriguez movie. So, and this opened my eyes to him as a filmmaker, and I'm excited to watch a few others. What was the one? There was one you mentioned that he filmed during this trilogy.
From Dusk Till Dawn?
From Dusk Till Dawn. I've heard about that frequently, but never actually seen it.
It's really fun. It's a really fun movie. Clooney, Quentin Tarantino, Harvey Keitel, Selma Hayek's in that as well.
So I'm definitely more motivated to watch that now, knowing who he is as a director.
Yeah, I really recommend checking out more of his work if you enjoyed these three. And that's a bonus for me when I recommend introduce you or anybody to a filmmaker that I enjoy, and it makes you want to check out more of it. I feel like
when someone gets something out of it. Yeah,
that's great. So that's the season.
That's it, guys. Get out of here.
Pull the plug. Let's move on to shout-outs.
Okay. I've got a shout-out today that's from TikTok, once again.
All right.
Shocker, I know, because it's where I get most of my content. But this is an account called Mr. Grande Official.
Okay.
And he is how do I explain this? He's basically a rapper who raps about pop culture, but it's a lot of, like, wordplay. Like, I don't know how to explain it. It's really creative wordplay, and he also just makes cool music. And he's, like, a young guy, and a lot of it is kind of Gen Z specific humor in a way, or references.
Okay.
But I think all of it kind of gets across.
All right.
Yeah.
Mr. Grande.
Mr. Grande. And who will you be shouting out this evening?
I will be shouting out, I shouted out this channel earlier this season, in Praise of Shadows. This guy does video essays about horror films and things like that. But a video he made recently that I watched and I really enjoyed, and I found it super interesting.
It
is a video about Nicolas Cage, and it is called In Defense of Nicolas Cage, and it defends it explores sort of the choices that Cage makes for his movies, the choices of roles that he takes. It has interview things quotes from him explaining choices that he makes and sort of his acting philosophy, and it breaks down his career. It's a super long video. It's like 3 hours. A lot of the gist of the video is summed up in the first hour, I'll say. Still a long video, but if you are interested, I found it really compelling. I found they made a really good case for Nicolas Cage, who, like I've said about him and Depp both, I think when they find the right role, the choices they make all fall into place and really solid performances. But I found it really good, and they talk pretty extensively about a movie you and I enjoyed this year of Mandy.
Mandy, hell yeah.
From a couple of years ago. And just sort of like that is Cage kind of having a renaissance as a horror actor.
We've really been having a Nicolas Cage kind of kick lately, haven't we?
We're uncaged, baby.
Yeah. Nicolas Cage and Dune. Yeah. That's what we're about here at this podcast.
So I will link that in the notes for this episode, in the description for this episode. And check that out if you want to see a defense of Nicolas Cage. On that note, we want to thank you for listening to this episode and this season of The Picture Show with Austin and Phil Rood. If you've enjoyed our show, if you've enjoyed our trilogies, please leave a review on your podcatcher of choice. It helps our visibility. It helps us grow the show.
Hey, Dad, yes? Do you know another way to help us grow the show?
No, tell me.
It's to tell a friend. I know sometimes we get caught up in being evil masterminds manipulating people into, maybe overthrowing governments or something.
Sure.
But
it happens.
I think your time is more wisely spent telling friends about good podcasts like ours. And also maybe raising awareness for our upcoming season 4. That does not have an air date, I believe. But yeah.
Yeah. Raising awareness is super important.
Yeah. End the stigma. Raise awareness. I don't know any of the words that come out of my mouth, but tell a friend about our podcast.
Please do. Yes. Season 4, we don't have a date for it yet.
But it's safe to say we will continue to watch movies and talk about them.
It will be January, February, probably when we start dropping episodes again. You're going on winter break. I have to just get through work over the holidays. And we're just going to regroup and plan out our next season. Keep an eye on our social media, and we will let you know when episodes are going to start dropping and what we're coming back with, so you can watch along with us.
For sure.
It won't be trilogies, so it won't be as predictable.
We'll have to find 4 movie series. It's going to get harder as we go.
Every season's going to get harder and harder. Austin, what are those social media outlets that they can follow us on?
Well, you can follow me on Twitter if you go to Austin and Rood, or alternatively, Old Who Review.
And you can follow me on Twitter at Phil Rood, on Instagram at PhilRood75, or you can go to my website, philrood.com, and you get all my social media links there. You see the artwork I'm working on. You can buy artwork from the show, including the Mariachi Trilogy.
That's right, all bundled.
All bundled together, and all of our episode info is there. Austin, would you like to read the credits?
I would. We did everything ourselves this season.
Well, there you have it. We'll see you next season on The Picture Show.
See ya.